I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the attendees and the speakers today. Feel free to connect. You can see on the screen our executive team. Feel free to connect with them and reach out to any of our executive team virtually or in the community as you see them. Before we get started, I want to what to expect today. I'll be doing a quick overview to get you familiar with Working Solutions. Then we'll take some short remarks for some of our incredible community partners before moving into introductions of the speakers. And of course, eventually passing it on to our moderator to carry the conversation forward. As I mentioned earlier, we have carved out a time for questions at the end of the conversation. So we encourage you to note those questions in the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Working Solutions CDFI, allow me to share brief information about how we've been helping entrepreneurs access capital. First to believe, this is a statement that everyone at Working Solutions holds as a North Star that guides our work. We prioritize lending to communities that have been historically left out and provide capital that ranges from $5,000 to $100,000. We are a CDFI, and what that means is a community development financial institution. Over the time we've been in existence, we've deployed over $40 million, and 3/4 of that capital has gone to entrepreneurs of color. And of course, we believe that capital without support and advice, it's not enough. And so we've delivered over 35,000 consulting hours and served over 2,600 businesses. And of course, this could not have been possible without the impact. This impact would not have been possible without our partners and support today. So with that being said, I would love to take some time to allow me to connect with you and introduce our leaders, some of the leaders in the communities that have been doing this great work and are joining us today. We'll begin with Kathy Adams, President of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. Kathy, the floor is yours. We can't hear you. Okay, there you go.
Okay, there you go. I kept trying to unmute. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this awesome afternoon. Juneteenth celebrations were in full force this year. So happy to celebrate it as official holiday, but also staying focused on why we're here and what we could do to change our own narrative. As she stated, I'm the president and CEO of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. We are the voice for our Black-owned businesses here within the city of Oakland. We also have great membership benefits by being a part of this, organization. Recently, just a little bit about us, we started our every third Thursdays. This is an opportunity for us to be in person, for us to have speakers to come in to talk about various topics that will impact and help to level up our businesses. In addition to that, a lot of the resources that we provide to our members, a lot to do with grant opportunities, a lot to do with, access to capital, a lot to do with marketing. We just created an opportunity for our businesses where we have office hours. We have a gentleman by the name of Ron Tate, who's been in technology for over 20 plus years. We know that our businesses are challenged when it comes to technology. So guess what? This is an opportunity for members to come into the office. They could do the meetings via Zoom. He even has experience in helping somebody to fill out their certification workshops. Basically, we're pretty much trying to say any and everything that your businesses need to amplify your business, to take you to the next level, to generate revenue, to create those marketing and outreach opportunities. That's why we're here. I get up every day and so thankful for all of the leaders that are on this call. A big shout out. We love Tara Lynn Gray that are doing so much around our small business advocacy. So we're happy about that. Something I want to leave you with, in 2020, we knew that a lot of our businesses were not getting a lot of the PPP money, but we took to the streets and raised $1.2 million in 90 days and provided over 200 grants for those businesses that need it. So we're very happy about that. This morning, we have a partnership. We are a spoke in a program with SBA Innovator Program with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. Grueling reports monthly, but we got to get the data, so we understand that. So I want to give a personal acknowledgement to our Director of Community Engagement, Patrick Brady, who we learned this morning that we were the Innovator Spoke of the Month. Happy, we work hard for that, so we're very excited about that. And understand too that every Tuesday, we send out a newsletter that is robust. You can visit our website so you can see it at oaacc.org. There you will find amazing events like these, and you will find information around the Inclusivity Project so that you can see webinars that can help you when you can't get out to meeting. So everything we do is about the amplification of small Black-owned businesses to make sure you stay in business. So visit us at oaacc.org. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Working Solutions.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It's such a privilege to have you here, and thank you for the great work that you've been doing in the community.
Thank you.
So next, I'm going to call on Brigitte LeBlanc, representing the San Francisco African American Chamber. The floor is yours, Brigitte.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. Greetings from across the bay here in San Francisco. My name is Brigitte LeBlanc, as mentioned, and I'm the Vice Chairwoman of the board, and I'm also the membership chair for the San Francisco African American Chamber of Commerce. We are in our 50th year of being an advocacy group for small Black businesses in San Francisco. We recently just held one of our events for year 50, was our Business Award Gala, where we honored Mayor Willie Brown, Barry Bonds, Steph and Alicia Curry, Timothy Simon, and also Congresswoman Barbara Lee. And we also had a very great presentation with the Buffalo Soldiers. We have just been doing a lot of different training workshops virtually and in person, and we're also stepping abroad. We had a small group go over to Cuba last year, and that was the kickoff of us doing business or learning how to do business internationally. And so we had webinars around doing business in Africa, and we also are planning to have another webinar for doing business in the Caribbean as well. We're working with our members, we're providing different types of services. We do highlight our members through our monthly newsletters. We also we have Channel 29, and we have a slot there once a week where we'll be highlighting our members and also our business partners as well. We're also on track with working with a STEM program. We were awarded grant money last year for that. And so we're rolling that out because we are concerned about our future young people, and a lot of those STEM opportunities can also turn into entrepreneurship opportunities. We will be having and celebrating Black Business Month again, as far as either a day workshop or maybe 2 workshops as far as a conference, and that's going to be happening in August, and that the date is to be determined, but we should have that information out momentarily. If you have any questions about that particular event, you can also call our office at 415-749-6400, and also visit our website at www.sfacc.org. We are a small and mighty organization as far as internally, but we do serve a broad range of African-American businesses in San Francisco, and we're still in the business of providing support and advocacy for the survival of African-American businesses. So thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with all of you in the near future. And thank you Thank you, Working Solutions team, for this great webinar.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. We're so grateful for your leadership with the San Francisco African American Chamber, and as well as all the great work that you're all doing for the community. Thank you for being here. Next, I'm going to call on Jermaine Carter Gibson, representing the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. The floor is yours, Jermaine.
There we are. We're off mute. Hello, everyone. My name is Jermaine Carter Gibson. I am the Northern California Local Engagement Specialist for the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. We are an independent office within the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, that's also known as GoBiz. I am extremely honored to be here and be a small part of this event. Really quickly, I want to let you all know our 4 core responsibilities so you're familiar with what we do. Number 1, our office administers direct relief programs and ecosystem building investments as directed by the governor. Number 2, we connect small business owners to the resources that they need to start, manage, and scale. Number 3, we advance resiliency through disaster preparedness and resiliency initiatives. And lastly, we curate, fund, and oversee a statewide network of small business centers to provide very low to no cost one-to-one counseling and trainings. There's so much to talk about in terms of programs, but I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to highlight a couple, and you can find all these programs linked on our website at calosba.ca.gov. Again, that's calosba.ca.gov. One of the programs is our Outsmart Disaster Program. The second is our TAP program, which is the Technical Assistance Program. That RFP is now open for technical providers who are searching match funding. Our Supplemental Paid Sick Leave Program is now open for applications. And lastly, we will be releasing a drought relief program later this summer. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you so much, Working Solutions and the team, for putting on this event, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Jermaine. It's a pleasure having you here as well, and we appreciate all that you do. Again, thank you to all our partners that could be here with us, and we appreciate your continuous contribution in the community. Keep up the good work. Well, next, it's now our time for introduction of our special guest. It's my pleasure and honor to first introduce Ms. Opal Lee. Ms. Opal Lee, also known as the Grandmother of Juneteenth, was present when President Joe Biden signed the bill that established Juneteenth as a federal holiday after her successful walk-in campaign and online petition that garnered over 1.5 million signatures for Juneteenth holiday awareness. She is also a graduate of Wiley College in Marshall, Texas, and has received 6 honorary doctorate degrees, has also been named 2021 Texan of the Year by Dallas Morning News Editorial Board, the 2021 Unsung Hero of the Pandemic and Fourth Watch Inc.'s 2022 Person of the Year. She is a Nobel Peace Prize nominee, and most recently became the 2nd African American to have her portrait hung in the Texas State Senate. Next, it's my great privilege to introduce Ms. Tara Lynn, Director Tara Lynn Gray. As Director of the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, also known as CalOSBA, Director Tara Lynn Gray serves as the voice for California's 4.2 million small businesses in the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. Under Director Gray's leadership, the CalOSBA, also known as the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, focuses on helping to bring about Governor Newsom's California for All vision through further development of the state's small business ecosystem, and by ensuring that questions about equity and inclusion are the starting point for all the state's small business programs. And finally, but not least, our moderator for the day, Anita Russell. Anita Russell is a Community Development Manager for Working Solutions, CDFI. She is skilled she's a skilled and visionary leader responsible for building partnerships, supporting small business applicants and clients with unswerving integrity, and implementing a diversity of community outreach efforts. To this role, she brings more than 25 years of experience and strong acumen for advocacy, communication, and partnership building. Please join me to welcome the moderator for the day to take us on this conversation journey, Anita Russell. The floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I want to extend my thanks to our host, TT Ikile, who's the Chief Program Officer for Working Solutions, to those chamber members who gave us a brief overview of the incredible work they're doing, and to our guests, Director Tara Lynn Gray and the Grandmother of Juneteenth, Miss Opal Lee. For those of you who are wondering where we got our theme from, civil rights to civil rights. In a capsule, it's a concept that documents and validates the next phase of civil rights. It's the empowerment movement, not only of African Americans, but of other minorities. And so with that, it's with tremendous honor that I present two activists from two generations who are led to affect change from their own passion and lens. Again, Director Tara Lynn Gray and Miss Opal Lee. I'm going to open up with a question, and I'm going to direct that to Miss Opal. Miss Opal, welcome, and thank you, my dear, for being here. One moment, we're going to unmute you.
Did you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. If you can say that again, that'll be great.
I was saying, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Here's a question I'd like to open up with, and that is, you are a national and growing international figure. And we're going to get to some questions about Juneteenth shortly, but I'd like you to tell us a bit about you, the women behind the advocacy. Tell us, who is Miss Opal Lee?
She's your grandmother. She's everybody's grandmother by another mother. And I'm wanting you to know that I expect you young people, and you do know you are all young people if you're not 96. I'm wanting you to be responsible for getting us out of the quagmire that we are in. We are delighted with the progress we've made with Juneteenth, but there are so many other things that need to be attended to. And I'm speaking about homelessness and joblessness and health care that some people can get and others can't. And climate change that we're responsible for. And I just believe if we don't do something about climate change, we're all going to hell in a handbasket. So we've truly got to put our shoulder to the wheel. We can't rest on our laurels. We've got work to do.
Ms. Opal, thank you for that opening. Oh, if you have more, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, you asked about me.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I need to tell you that I'd raised 4 children. I'd gone to colleges and universities. I had helped to start a food bank that services some 500 families a day, and acquired a farm. It's called Opal's Farm. I think there's about 13 acres. And I begin to think that maybe I should be doing something else. And I remember Dr. Ronald Myers, who was a medical doctor, who was a minister and a jazz musician all rolled into one. And Doc was adamant about Juneteenth being a national holiday. In fact, he's responsible for some 42 states doing some kind of Juneteenth observance. And I think he must be looking down at us. and saying it's about cotton picking time, you got it done. So I decided if a little old lady in tennis shoes was walking from Fort Worth to Washington, D.C., 1,400 miles, somebody would take notice. Now, I don't want to give you the impression I walked 1,400 miles, but I had planned to. Somebody had offered us an RV, and they decided what I was doing was too political, and they kept the whole RV. So I began walking from Fort Worth to Arlington, to Grand Prairie, to Dallas, Box Springs, Chopper. When my team says you won't be doing it that way. And what happened was people began to pay attention, and I got to Shreveport, and somebody in Shreveport took me to Texarkana. Somebody in Texarkana took me to Little Rock. I was all over the place. St. Louis, Denver, Colorado Springs, Atlanta, the Carolinas. Well, if I left September 2016, I actually got to Washington January 2017. And we had asked President Obama to walk with us from the Frederick Douglass House to the Capitol, but he was in Chicago. I didn't get what I wanted, but guess what? P. Diddy helped me get 1,500,000 signatures. He carried those to Congress, and we were prepared to take that many more. When we got the call to go to the White House, that the president was going to sign the bill into law. Oh, I tell you, I was so happy. I was humble. I was humble. And well, we made the trip. But what I want to tell you is that if we took 1,500,000 signatures to Congress and we were prepared to take that many more, don't you think 3 million people could turn this country around? And it needs turning. Have I already mentioned the joblessness and homelessness? Those things need to be attended to. It is going to be our responsibility to do something about it. So I'm asking young people, and I'm not excluding anybody else, to make themselves a committee of one to change somebody's mind. We know people who aren't on the same page we are. Won't change their minds. If people can be taught to hate, they can be taught to love. And I just believe if we have that kind of group, we can do so much about the disparities in our country. We made strides, wonderful strides, but we have a long way to go. So, you see, you let me talk and I don't get to answer your questions.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Ms. Opal, we got more because I know you have volumes to give. So let me just pose a question to Director Gray, and I'll come right back to you, Ms. Opal.
Right.
Director Gray, tell us your personal journey to becoming director of the California Office of Small Business Advocates, other known as CalOSBA or OSBA. What are some of the obstacles you had to overcome as a Black woman in business and leader that have made you stronger and better fit now because you're more stronger for the role? Tell us about it.
Well, first and foremost, Anita, I want to thank you for moderating this important discussion. I want to thank Sarah, TT, and the entire Working Solutions team for having this conversation today. There was a time when this conversation would not be had in a forum open to all. So I just really want to acknowledge first that even having this conversation, having this forum is a tad bit of progress that I believe Ms. Opal Lee has been working a very, very long time to see. As you said, I am the 5th director of California's Office of the Small Business Advocate, and you heard Jermaine on my staff earlier talk about our missional objectives. Prior to my appointment by Governor Newsom to this role, I was the CEO of the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce and Chamber Foundation. And I've run my own business for almost 20 years. I've been a consultant and coach for 2 SBDCs here in California. I've served on 2 chamber boards, and I think it's safe to say that my entire career has really been about enabling others and supporting the small business ecosystem. And I think that all of that combined with the fact that I was born an advocate has really prepared me for this role. As I think about, being a Black woman in this role and thinking about obstacles, I think obstacles and difficulties are, they're a part of our daily life as a person and woman of color in present day America. So I think the assumptions about race and gender present obstacles, though, and day-to-day difficulties, assumptions that start from a place of inferiority and lack, scarcity mindset, those present obstacles. And then of course the, day-to-day personal challenges. How do you balance relationships and family and all that other kind of stuff to do your work? And how do you carve out thinking time and all of those things? And I think we just press every day, as we heard Miss Opal Lee say, that I feel that she's been motivated by something bigger than herself. And I like to say that about my work. I am motivated to make a difference. I'm motivated to make change. And I think that that is a contact sport. I don't think it's something that any of us can do alone. That unity and tough conversations are the pathway to making the change that I think we all want to see. And I think I'll close with this thought on that question. I could list a whole lot of things that would be difficulties and obstacles, but I choose to kind of flip that a bit in my position and really talk about the end goal and the end game and really how we plan strategy to get there. We know what the problems are. We know that there are people in the street. We know that there's a long time old book that says that the poor will be with us always. So we know the problems very, very well. What we don't have as much experience with and as much practice at is building the capacity of organizations that can help make that change. And so I have the luxury of working for a governor that has declared we will have a California for all and has hired more people of color, more women, appointed more judges of color than any other governor before him. And so he has created a window of opportunity for us, and shame on us if we don't walk through it or go through it.
Thank you, Director Gray, for that. Thank you very much. As you all may be aware, I know we typically celebrate Juneteenth on the 19th of June. But we're here today in honor of Juneteenth. And so I don't want us to lose sight of that. And with that, I want to refer this question to you, Ms. Opal, and that is, you know, even in 2023, many don't know much about Juneteenth. And so I'd like to ask you if you can share with us what exactly is Juneteenth, and particularly as it relates to General Orders number 3. What is that, Ms. Opal?
So Juneteenth means freedom. And we're not talking about freedom for Black people or freedom for Texas people. It's freedom for everyone. And you need to know that General Gordon Granger made his way to Galveston, Texas, with several thousand colored troops. And they spread all over Galveston, telling people about the General Order number 3 he had that read, "All slaves are free." And what he did was to nail that order to the door of what's now Reedy Chapel, African Methodist Episcopal Church. And when people came in from their labor and somebody read that to them, we began celebrating, and we've been celebrating ever since.
Thank you, Ms. Opal. I thought you had some more, but I'm definitely going to come back to you. Thank you for that history. Director Gray, I'm going to ask you one question, well, 2 questions in one. All right. The first thing I want to know is, you're sharing this platform with Ms. Opal. What does Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday mean to you? And then here's a loaded one, Director Gray. What are some steps the state of California is taking to eliminate discrimination and elevate civil rights for our community? And if you can just unpack any accomplishments as it relates to these steps, as well as any aspirational goals you have to further enhance those steps, we'd greatly appreciate that.
Okay, so the first part of that was, what does Juneteenth mean to me?
Yes.
I think it is representative.
Let me qualify. What does Juneteenth mean to you as it relates to the work that Ms. Opal has been doing? Yes.
Okay, I think the direction I was going still applies.
Okay.
As we heard Mr. Opal Lee say, the troops came into Galveston to spread the news. So the word that comes to mind for me is voice, right? We are giving voice to the change that needs to happen, just as those soldiers gave voice to the news that freedom had finally reached Texas. And our fight for freedom over the years has made way for other voices, whether we're talking about the voice of James Baldwin, whether or not we're talking about the voice of Maya Angelou, whether or not we're talking about the voice of Barack Obama. What we see here in the press is a way for voices to carry news and to carry change. And when I think about the work that my office is doing, we often say that we are the voice of California's 4.2 million small businesses. We are also the voice for all of the subgroups in that 4.2 million, and about 1.5, 1.6 million of those folks are people of color. So in the context of my work, I get to give voice to the need for diversity. I get to give voice to the need for equity. And when I think of equity, I think of civil rights, because once we begin to solve the economic problems, once we create systems and programs and institutions that put equity at the forefront instead of a tag along and an afterthought, the last paragraph or a closing sentence, when they become the middle, when they create a substantive part of what we are doing, and when we give agency to that across the board, we've given voice to the change that we want to make. And so the work that we do in my office, I hold in that space. And I ask my team, oftentimes, where's the equity here? Are we building equity in? Are we baking it in? Are we talking about it on the front end in a way that we are creating access for all? Or are we doing more of what we've seen institutionally done? And I'm blessed to have the latitude in my office, and again, an administration that cares about equity. We have the governor's executive order last year in 1622 that basically instructed every agency to begin to look at equity in the way that I've just described. We had the passage last session of AB 2019, which codified for the first time into law small business procurement goals. And it is those kinds of actions that are helping us move forward and onto a path of civil rights for the folks we're talking about today. I hope I answered the question.
It was loaded, and I thank you for that. I thank you for that answer. Thank you. Ms. Opal.
Yes.
June 17, 2021, as we discussed, Juneteenth became the first national holiday established since Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday was made a holiday on November 2nd, 1983. I would ask you, what inspired you to advocate for Juneteenth to become a national holiday, and what obstacles did you have to overcome to see this finally happen? I don't know whether you want to share your story about what happened, I believe some years ago when you were young on Juneteenth, but it's up to you. The floor is yours.
I don't mind. And what you referred to is the fact that my parents bought a house here in Fort Worth, and my mom had it fixed up so nice. On the 19th of June, the paper says some 500 people had gathered. The police were part of the group, and they couldn't control the mob. When my father came with a gun, the police told him, if you bust a cap, we'll let this mob have you. And so our parents sent us to friends several blocks away, and they left under cover of darkness. Those people tore that place apart. They drug the furniture out. They burned. They did despicable things. But our parents never, ever discussed it with me. So I'm not sure that my reasoning to make Juneteenth a national holiday stemmed from that, because I met people who were interested in it. I've told you about Dr. Myers, have I not? And Mrs. Waller, who the city of Fort Worth had asked to gather all the materials about the contribution Blacks had made to the growth of Fort Worth. It was their 175th birthday, but she could find absolutely nothing written. And so she started the Tarrant County Black Historical and Genealogical Society. I'm one of its members. Juneteenth's one of its programs. And there was a Juneteenth in tiny little Sycamore Park, and the paper says there were 30,000 people in a 3-day period, 10,000 people a day. The Historical Society took exhibits to the park. I'm not sure we paid much attention to them. And we knew when the festivities were winding down, they'd pull a plug about 10 o'clock and it was time for us to go home. Well, this particular time, I got on the flatbed truck and put that plug back in and we partied till dawn. Did we have fun? I just know that Juneteenth has become what I want it to be. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm insisting that people celebrate from the 19th of June to the 4th of July. Now that would be celebrating freedom. And that's what this is all about, freedom for everybody. And we're not free yet, as long as we have the disparities that we. So I'm hoping that young people will take this torch and do something with it.
Ms. Opal, in one of your recent interviews, you said something that really resonates deeply with me. You said very passionately about truth, that we need to know what happened in the past so it doesn't happen again. And then you said something like, if you don't know where you came from, you don't have any idea where you're going. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, I guess I'm a little upset because people are talking about taking books out of the school, erasing history. That's ridiculous. And I believe if a people don't know their past, they can't know what to do about their future. I believe that sincerely. And so I'm suggesting, in fact, I'm insisting that young people go and vote. Vote for people that are on the same page you're on. Go and be sure some of you get on the school board. Some of you get on the book committee. Some of you be sure to go and see what's happening at city council. I know we have a tendency to leave that up to somebody else, but we can't. It's our responsibility. And it's left up to us to do something about it. Is that okay? Is that what you need?
Yes, ma'am, that's good enough. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Opal. I want to ask a question to Director Gray, and that is the fight for parity still exists. What are your thoughts around how the Black community can self-advocate when it comes to economic empowerment and equity?
Thank you for taking a minute to get to me because frankly, Ms. Opal Lee had me shed a few tears over here. I can only imagine what the world looks like through her lens. And it is an honor to share a platform today with her and to really talk about that. Because we still have a lot of work to do. It starts with our vote, as we just heard, and we have to remember that power is rarely given. It's almost always seized.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that there's a fight for it. And we're in a fight. We're in a fight right now for economic freedom. We're in a fight for civil rights. And there are some leaders that are in that fight with us, and we have to join them. And we have to look in the mirror and we have to ask ourselves, if not me, who? Right? If not me for the school board to make sure that our history doesn't get erased in our schools, then who? If not me for the county board of supervisors to make sure that the money that comes down from the federal government to the state and to the counties, if not me to be a part of that decision-making process, then who? One of my old mentors used to say that if you do not have a seat at the table, then you are on the menu. And it is so, so true. If you're not on the commissions that are making the decisions, you don't have a say. So we have one person, one vote, one human, one vote. Cast your vote and then decide where your work is. If we don't stand up, if we don't do it, it doesn't get done. Don't complain if you didn't participate. That's my message.
Well, I hear your message loudly and clearly, and I'm sure all of us on this webinar hears you as well. And I thank you. I mean, your passion from both of you, you cannot excuse it. And it is resounding. And I so thank you for it, Miss Opal. I want to ask you one last question, and you kind of covered it in the beginning when you started speaking. And so for those who didn't hear, I just have a snippet of your life. So if you would allow me, indulge me to just give a snippet. So you've raised 4 children, you finished college, you've been an educator, you've helped establish a food bank, create Opal's Farm, your portrait is hanging in the Texas State House. I want you to tell us about Opal's Walk. And you're the author of a book, Juneteenth for Children. My gosh, Miss Opal, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. The book for children, it's Juneteenth for children, and our children need to know our history. They need to know the history so that it's not repeated. And how can they if we take the books out of the school? So we must speak up and defend the children, defend learning, not cover it up. And so, beside the book, what else was it you said to me?
Yes, ma'am. Tell us about Opal's Walk.
Oh, I got to thinking when I was nearly 90 years old, I got to thinking about the things that I've done, and you mentioned them. And I gathered some people at my church, and the musicians and the pastor, and the county commissioner, school board member, and they gave me the send-off. And I walked 2.5 miles, 2.5 miles from my church. And the next morning, I got up and started where I left off. But that 2.5 miles was to symbolize that the enslaved didn't know they were free for 2.5 years after the emancipation. And so I felt like if this little old lady in tennis shoes was walking to DC, somebody would take notice, and they did. I walked from Fort Worth to Arlington to Grand Prairie to Dallas, Box Springs. I walked all over the place. When my group says you won't be doing it that way, somebody had suggested, somebody had offered us a RV, and they changed their mind. They said what I was doing was too political, and they kept their old RV. But people were so nice to me. Shreveport, somebody got me to Texarkana. From Texarkana, somebody took me to Little Rock, to Denver, St. Louis. They had me all over the place. And I was supposed to meet up with President Obama. And we were gonna walk. I'd asked him to walk with me from the Frederick Douglass House to the Capitol, but he was in Chicago. And I didn't get what I wanted. And before I could get discouraged, I got word that P. Diddy was helping me with 1,500,000 signatures. Oh, I could have done a holy dance, but the kids say when I try, I'm twerking, so I didn't do it. Anyway, we get this call from the White House, and the president's asking us to come because he's gonna sign the bill into law that's gonna make Juneteenth a national holiday. We made it. We made it. And I was just overjoyed. I still pinch myself sometimes to see if it really happened. And it did. To see the president and the vice president and all those legislators. Girl. Well, I did take it all in. And he did sign that bill. He gave me the pen. Those pens I've got, I'm keeping it pretty close to it. And the people ask me. The president came and knelt in front of me and he told me something. And everybody wants to know what he said. And I said, I'm keeping something to myself. I ain't telling y'all everything. But it was a momentous moment. It really was. And I'll cherish it. I will. But I want you young folk to know we still got work to do. Plenty of it.
You know, Ms. Opal, I know we kind of visited this question, but there's so many of us who are 30, 40 and older, and we think we've run out of time and we don't have time to accomplish things. And you got your tennis shoes and you're in your 90s and you're still at it. And I'm telling you, that is such an amazing inspiration. And I mean, you've touched all of us today. I mean, you've inspired all of us today. And before I go to Director Gray, I want to know, is there anything you want to leave with us before we conclude? We're not done yet, but do you have anything you want to share with us, Ms. Opal?
I just want us to know that we have the power in our hands. We don't have guns, but we have sharp minds. All we need to do is to put them to work together, to dispel the disparities that we have, because we're the richest country in the world. And we should be the country that others are following. So I'm gonna keep on walking and I'm gonna keep on talking. And I'm not gonna wait for the Lord to come and get me. He gonna have to catch me. I'm saying to others, you got so much to offer. People my age and younger, you know, if you just tell the youngsters, share with them the things that happen to you so it doesn't happen to them. And let us take this country and make it what it should be.
Woo, have to catch my breath on that, Miss Opal. Good grief. Director Gray, I don't know how you come behind that, but give it a try.
Oh, did you have a specific question for me?
I just want to know, is there anything you want to leave with us? Can you find anything?
You know, I will say this. Can't nobody do it like a grandmama can. And I just feel like my grandmother lived with us for a while when I was coming up. And I just felt like right now, listening to Miss Opal Lee, like I was sitting on the end of my grandmother's bed and she was telling me about her trek from Oklahoma to California and working on the railroads and all of that before she settled into Bakersfield and opened up her small business. But I just would say that this is such rich history. And I thanked you all at the top of the hour. I want to thank Working Solutions again. This is in part and parcel. This is how we get to know each other, right? And this is the stuff that our dreams are made of. And we do have to know our history. We have to connect to it. We have to listen to our wise sages in our community in order to really chart where we're going and the why. My family was at Greenwood and Archer. My parents picked cotton in Bakersfield, California before they went to college. So staying connected to that history and understanding what we're fighting for, it gives us the context for the battle. So thank you.
And I want to thank you too. I want to thank you. I do. And I know you young people. And I've said already, you're all young people, if you're not 96. So it's left up to you to get us through this. I'm counting on you.
Thank you. So, well, I think we have a few questions. I want to defer real quick to TT Ikile with those questions, and then we'll proceed. And we are not going to keep you much longer. TT?
Thank you so much to our speakers today for such an inspiring challenge in us to take action. We appreciate you so much, Ms. Opal Lee and Director Gray. I believe most of the questions that are in the chat, you've touched on it, but I'm just going to summarize it and ask if you're able to just capture it maybe in one place. And it's really directed as almost like a parting word for young people in the light of all the ban of history and even Amanda Gorman's poetry books. Can you share your perspective on how we can take action? And what do you envision? What do you hope and envision for the Black community in the next 3 years to 30 years? Like, what do you see? What do you hope for us in the community?
If you want me to answer that, I'm going to say education, education, education. And I don't mean everybody has to get a degree, but we have got to instill in our young people that it's important that they get an education. We have to work like it's a team. And I know they want to have fun, but you need to tell them what is it? They shouldn't say things and it's still there. And they get grown and these absurd things they've said, it's still there. And it's time for them at 35 to be the president of the United States. The women as men as the men. And all this, I'm gonna say it, crap that you dilly-dallied around with when we were younger, it still bothers you. So we must let our children know how important it is. They use this sparingly, I'm going to say it that way, that it's not a toy. And so I want to impart to them that they are the ones that we are dependent on. I can't stress it enough. It's their responsibility. And if they just talk to some of us, we kind of nudge them on and show them the pitfalls and help them as much as we can.
Thank you, Ms. Opal, for that. Well, everybody, I'm sure that you have heard this piece of music. I celebrate it, I'm proud of it, and we just want to share this anthem with you. If you don't know the words, feel free to just look at the lyrics and take a moment to hear Lift Every Voice.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky.
Let it
resound.
Let it resound.
Loud as the rolling sea.
I like this part right here. Come on.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on.
Let us march on.
Till victory is won.
Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're gonna take it to church later. Let's go.
We'll keep marching right until the victory is won.
To all my brothers out there.
Hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won.
To all my sisters in the struggle.
Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won.
Till that day.
Till that day comes.
Hey.
Let us march on
To victory.
till victory is won. Is won.
Woo! Absolutely. Well, Miss Opal, Miss Tara Lynn, to all of our partners in this work, all of our community partners, from the heart of Sarah Rizalvi, the CEO of Working Solutions, and to all of the staff, we thank you so much for joining us. We hope you got something out of this. I sure did. Thank you. Until next time, we bid you adieu. Have a great day. Stay in the fight. Help us do this together. Be well now.